She's going to crash the plane. A silent black chapter, told in one breath of darkness. The runway lights bled through the fog like dying stars. Engines roared in the distance. A sound that once meant freedom now felt like a warning. I ran, barefoot, breath tearing through my ribs like glass. The night wind carried the taste of jet fuel and rain, and every pulse of the ground beneath me whispered the same word: hurry. They thought I wouldn't make it. They thought I'd stay quiet, like always. But I'd read the message. I'd heard the call. And I'd seen the code on his phone, the one he never meant for me to see. Now the plane was moving. Taxi lights flickered against the hangar walls. And him, the man I loved, the man who built his empire on lies, was inside, ready to vanish with everything I once believed in. My voice cracked through the night, but no one heard. Security shouted behind me. Someone yelled, "She's going to crash the plane!" Maybe I would. Maybe I already had. Because what was left inside me wasn't love anymore. It was combustion. And he was about to feel every spark. It started with a silence too perfect to trust. He came home one night with calm eyes, the kind men wear when they already decided to leave. He said he had a business trip, Zurich, 3 days. His voice carried no tremor, no warmth, just distance. That's how betrayal hides, in the tone of people who have practiced lies. He kissed my forehead, not my lips. And when he left the room, I opened his briefcase. Not to find proof, just to feel the echo of something I'd already lost. Inside, beneath the contracts, a small black envelope, unmarked, sealed with wax. My fingers shook when I opened it. A boarding pass, 2 names, his and hers. The woman I had trained, the one I'd defended when others whispered, the one he said was just talented. Her name looked carved into paper, like it belonged there. Mine was nowhere. I stared until the letters blurred, and for a long moment, I felt nothing. Then the quiet started to hurt. That night, he held me in bed, and I memorized the rhythm of his breathing, like someone tracing the sound of a clock before cutting its wires. Every word a thread, every thread a map. By the second week, I knew his route. By the third, I knew the jet. By the fourth, I knew she'd be there too. She was ambitious, too ambitious. And he, the CEO, the man with a smile like a knife, wanted someone who didn't know where the blade came from. I spent nights tracing their movements on my screen, watching the GPS signals converge in cities I'd never seen. Their secret meetings played out like slow poison. One call, one message, one unguarded photo. And I saw it, his hand on her back, hers on his chest, his wedding ring gone. My lungs forgot how to breathe. Not because I loved him, but because I finally realized what he'd made me become. His silence had trained me to vanish inside myself. Now I was learning how to return, quietly. The night before the flight, he asked if I'd drop him off. I said yes. We drove in silence, the city lights sliding across his face like confession. He reached for my hand. I let him. He thought calm meant forgiveness, but calm is the sound of precision. When he stepped out, I saw her waiting near the hangar, hair tied back, eyes bright, like she'd already replaced me in his world. They didn't see me watching, didn't hear the click of my phone camera, didn't notice the small device in his bag, the one I'd slipped in before leaving the house. A tracker, one that could also override the flight system. I hadn't built it for revenge, I'd built it for proof, but now both had the same face. At 10:48 p.m., the jet's engine started. At 10:49, I opened the app. At 10:50, I saw the coordinates shift. He wasn't flying to Zurich. He was fleeing to a private island under a false company name with millions in wired transfers. My name was on those documents once. Now it was erased. And so I ran. The tarmac glistened with rain as I reached the runway fence. Security lights flashed red, voices blurred behind me. But my mind was a steady, black ocean. I watched the jet roll forward, her silhouette in the window, his figure at the cockpit door, laughing. He was leaving with everything, money, power, and the version of me he'd dismantled piece by piece. I whispered into the device, "Override authorization, code? Silence. The plane's navigation flickered. Engine stalled. A siren wailed in the distance. He turned, panic written where arrogance used to live. She grabbed his arm, shouting something I couldn't hear. The jet came to a crawl. Metal groaned. Then, stillness. No crash, no fire. Just a man trapped between the life he built and the truth he buried. When they found me, I wasn't running anymore. I was standing, calm, soaked, silent. He stepped out of the jet, eyes wide. "Why?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "Because you were going to crash everything anyway." He didn't understand. He didn't need to. They called it a misunderstanding, a system glitch. No one knew how close he came to losing it all. But he knew, and that was enough. He sees me sometimes, in boardrooms, across press lines. His smile falters, his pulse stutters. She left him months later. The island remains untouched. And I rebuilt quietly, in a company that now bears my name. He once said I was too emotional for leadership. He was right. Emotions make excellent weapons, if you learn how to aim them. The world calls me composed now. They don't see the silence beneath it. The silence that listens. The silence that remembers. Because power isn't loud. It's the absence of noise after truth hits. And when I close my eyes, I can still hear the echo of that night. The roar of an engine that never left the ground. He thought I was trying to crash his plane. I wasn't. I was landing mine.